What's up, folks? Welcome to the first edition of the Point Spread here at fantasypoints.com, hence Point Spread. I'm Joe. That's Tom. T-Bro, what's going on, man? We got games.
Yeah, we got some games. Hopefully we get some competitive games after last night. That was a bit of a snoozer, but
not for your roommate.
Yeah, he was the Bills fans in my life were pretty excited about last night's outcome there, but hopefully we get some better games. This is the time of year, you look at the point spreads, they're all kind of tight. This is a tough Survivor week. I don't know if you do any of the Survivor, Joe.
Tom.
All the line, everything's 7 or less right now. So it's a lot of like home road favorites that are,
which is the worst thing in Survivor. And by the way, I always scoff at people who are like, oh, I stopped watching football and now my Sundays are free. Yeah, they're free to watch football. That's what they're for. I don't play fantasy anymore. Let me tell you something. They might have a point on some level because quitting playing Survivor pools was the greatest thing I've ever done. It just I just and the one I was in had so many people. Well, here's the problem. So the pot was like 30 grand, okay? But it was impossible to win it. So even if you made the playoffs, they then went to you had to pick a winner ATS, which is obviously a lot harder to do. And then, even then, 15 people are splitting the pot at the end of the season. So I got out of it. And maybe that was just the sheer size of the pool. But I got the hell out of it. It's the best thing I've ever done. Anyway, how'd you do?
Yeah, honestly, the one I'm in is my uncle does it. And it's always like my Christmas gift. He pays for my entry. So and it's one of those where if you lose in the first 3 weeks, you can buy back in. It's it's so tough to win. I've only made it to week 11 or week 12. No luck. So, but maybe this is the year. I'm going with the Saints. We'll see how that goes. But there's some decent options out there. But it's a tough week for Survivor. That's for sure.
Yeah. How'd you do on the game last night?
3-0 with player props, but total misread on the game itself. Yeah. There, I was. I did not think the Rams would be that pathetic. Honestly, obviously we saw. No chemistry there with Stafford and Allen Robinson. He's not a guy that separates at all. You got to kind of trust Allen Robinson. And the only time he really kind of threw to him in coverage was that last play of the game in the end zone. That was about it. So it was pretty ugly. And then the whole Akers thing. Holy man, it's not looking good for the Akers people.
I started dabbling in Akers in best ball at the end, just on the, sometimes you got to think, if you're doing 100-some best ball teams, you got to say, hey, what if I'm wrong about this guy sometimes, right? Yeah. And you don't want to be, but I have way more Hendo than Akers. So
I'm sitting 12%, 4% between Henderson and Akers. So feeling pretty good. I drafted Akers a little bit in the spring, and then I just completely got off of him. So
the hope, I would think the hope is that whatever injury he had, kind of during camp was bothering him vis-a-vis the Achilles. But I mean, when you see how he looked in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, it looked the same. They're even that first carry of the game, it looked like there was a hole there, and then Ed Oliver just swallowed him up. He had no juice to get through it. So, and it even seemed like Kieran Williams, I think, was supposed to have a role. I think he was going to take the snaps last night from Cam Akers. I was watching NFL Live, and Adam Schefter, not so subtly, is you keep an eye out for Kieran Williams tonight, and I think he was supposed to be the passing back there.
I said that in our staff Discord this morning.
Yeah, I saw you say that this morning.
When I was writing the script for the daily lineup, I'm like, oh, Williams got hurt. I was like, what happened with Stafford? Yeah, because Schefter had said it, and
because I don't know if you noticed in our collegian, I picked him up.
Because I was going to pick him up, and you asshole. But now he's out for 2 months.
Yeah, now he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. So
yeah. So the thing was, I posited, and there's no way for me to prove this, but I'm not sure Akers would have played a snap if Kyren Williams didn't get hurt.
I'm kind of in your camp there. Maybe he would have gotten a carry or two, but yeah, I mean, he was only 18% of the snaps anyway with Henderson. But anyway, we digress.
Yeah, let's get into the games this week. And now, folks, just because I'm trying to be as accurate as I possibly can. I'm using DraftKings Sportsbook, but obviously we have the odds board, which is free up at fantasypoints.com, where you can get all the over-unders, all the point spreads, where you can shop around and find your best line. Tom, let's start with Baltimore at the Jets. Baltimore laying 6.5. 44 is the total here. Baltimore and the Jets, a couple of injuries. I think some of the key ones are on the offensive line. Baltimore will not have Ronnie Stanley, most likely. The Jets are down to their third left tackle, which is George Fant, who was their left tackle. Now, then he was their right tackle. Now he's back to left tackle. They could be starting a rookie at right tackle. 44 the total in this game. Do you have a read on Baltimore at the Jets?
Yeah, I kind of wish I would have gotten some 7.5s with the Jets. They popped for a little bit earlier in the week, but they're kind of gone now. I think the market feels, at least I do too. I feel better with Joe Flacco in the lineup here. I don't think it's a dramatic, shift, but I think they're half a point to a point better with Joe Flacco here. So 7.5s, those are all gone. There's not even any 7s left out there anymore. But I'm still leaning towards the Jets side in this game. I think they're going to be more competitive with Joe Flacco in the lineup. And I honestly have some questions about what this Ravens offense is going to look like. No Marquise Brown anymore. The pretty thin at receiver, and the running back position is very much up in the air. They're talking like Dobbins might be available, but we're not expecting.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean Lamar Jackson even said it this week. Maybe in a few weeks he'll be able to contribute.
Yeah, he'll be out there in a couple of weeks or something. Yeah, that's what he said.
So
Tom,
he was given some state secrets there, I think.
Any props that you like? Now, here's what's interesting. Obviously, there's no rushing props for Baltimore. They have Michael Carter at 33.5, Breece Hall at 31.5. You could pay me to put money down on one of these, because I'd take the money you paid me with and put it down on one of these. I have no freaking clue what to do with the Jets backfield.
Yeah, it's a complete stay away situation for me. I think they're both set pretty low. I would expect one of those backs to go over that number, but I don't know how they're going to split it up. There was even, I believe Robert Saleh today was, talking up Michael Carter. So it kind of feels like they're going to go in with Michael Carter, maybe, 60-40 early in the season here, while they let Breece Hall kind of get his feet wet. But so I'm with you. I wouldn't touch those props. The one I did bet was Eli Moore over 52.5. It's been bouncing around.
I'm showing a 51.5, but it's in that range.
Yeah, I think it started out 48.5 and got bet up a little bit, but I just feel a lot better with Joe Flacco in the lineup. Everything out of camp was that Eli Moore was lighting it up and performing pretty well, and he was kind of go-to receiver for the quarterbacks. In the one game with Flacco last year, he went for 140 yards in that game. So 7-point underdogs at home. So if they do fall behind, they might have to throw it a little bit. So like Elijah Moore, I'm playing him in all my lineups, and I like him over 52.5.
Let's go to San Francisco at the Bears. Tom, one of those long road favorites that you were talking about. San Fran is laying 7 in Chicago, 40.5 the total. Trey Lance versus Justin Fields. Good luck getting me to bet on this spread. I mean, I guess if I had a personal lean and if I was in an office pool, I'm probably taking the Niners, just because I think the defensive line can overpower Chicago's offensive line, but probably not something that I'm willing to put actual money on. Maybe you think differently.
No, I'm on the 49ers side as well. -6.5. I did not bet this game, though. This is one I want to kind of see how both quarterbacks kind of perform here. This is a total that's been bet down, though. I'm seeing a couple 40s out there. It opened 42, so it's the lowest total on the board. Go ahead.
If you're new to sports betting or new to the show or new to this, whatever, when we say office pool, it means like if you're in against the spread pool like you and I are, Tom, with Big Ed, you have to pick every game, okay? Because it's part of the pool. But when we say I'm on that side, but I'm not betting, it means that's my lean, but I don't feel good enough about it to put actual money down on it. Meanwhile, anything I would say anything like 42 points and under in the NFL is a low total. Anything under 40 is like tough. Good luck having fun watching this game total.
The over-under for the passing yardage is, as low as I've seen in a while for both sides. 198.5 for Justin Fields and 204.5 for Trey Lance. And, of course, we lost George Kittle. Did he get officially ruled out? But
he's questionable. Here is what he literally just said, and this is why I hate Fridays during the season, Tom, because I'm always trying to go out and enjoy a Friday night and have a date night with my wife. George Kittle, yesterday, Aaron Wilson's like, oh my God, this guy's dead. And now today he's ruled as questionable, and he says, oh, I feel a lot better. I'm going to try everything I can to play. Do I expect George Kittle to play? No, I don't. But
now I think if this was like later in the season, maybe we see him play, but it's week one. I don't see them being in a whole rush to play him here. Especially, it's an opponent, not that any team thinks this way, but it's an opponent that they think that they can, they can go into Chicago and win this game. So I would be kind of surprised if he was playing. If you're doing fantasy, obviously have a backup plan there. So the one bet, I think I'm kind of kicking myself. I believe Graham gave it out in the Discord earlier this week, was Deebo Samuel. I think he got it at 48.5. It's all the way up to 58.5. With the George Kittle news, that picked up a lot of steam. Missed my opportunity. I'm one of those guys. You're probably the same way, Joe. Like if you see a huge line movement, I was thinking about betting it, but especially like a 10-yard movement. I mean, that's a whole reception there. That's a half a reception for Deebo Samuel, but you know what I mean. I would be kicking myself if it lands in that 54 to 55 spot where I could have had it whenever it was down at 48 or 52. So my opportunity passed there. The one I got early in the week, I hit Eli Mitchell over 64.5. He crushed in this matchup last year. And as we said at the top here, we're not expecting a lot of passing in this game. And the way Shanahan has, always used Mitchell when he's healthy, he feeds him the rock. So I don't think he had an injury designation this week. He's been practicing in full, he had the hamstring issue for much of training camp, but that one got bet down almost immediately after I bet it. I was kicking myself. It got down to 59.5. It's coming all the way back. It's up to 62.5 at DraftKings here. I think it's going to get back up to the 64.5 mark where it kind of started the week. But it always pains you whenever you bet a prop. You think it's a good one, and you see it go down by 5 yards. But slowly the over money is starting to come back on Eli Mitchell here.
And that's how they obviously work the props. If they're getting a lot of over money, they'll bet it. They'll move it back up, right, and try to get it to go back down. And then that
was a lot of the talk last night. Even Edwin in our Discord, our company Discord, was asking what was going on with the Allen Robinson prop. It was at 64.5. It went down all the way to 58.5. And, I told him it was probably a lot of sharp money. We're betting the unders. And then I saw Caesars put out a tweet right before kickoff that their most bet prop was over 58.5 yards for Allen Robinson. So I hope anybody that was listening here didn't bet that one. That was
good to see the little guy win for once, Tom.
Yeah.
Indianapolis at Houston. The Colts, another one. Colts laying 7 on the road. 46 is the total here. Indy at Houston. Touchdown favorite on the road in division game. New quarterback. There's a lot going on here in this game.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think the Texans have gotten a little bit of love this week. I think there's a little bit of optimism for this offense. Just looking at the total, opened at 44.5. So, we've seen, 1.5 to, I'm seeing some 45.5s, but for the most part, it's 46. So I think that was Texans driven. And the spread was at 8.5. It got bet down to 7. So the Texans are getting a little bit of late love here this week. And I agree with it. I like what I saw out of Davis Mills at the end of last year. Indianapolis, it's been a tough spot for them in opening days here. I think it's going back like 9 or 10 years where they haven't, I forget. I think they haven't won on opening day in 8 or 9 years. It's some ridiculous stat. I had it somewhere, but they've really struggled opening day. Frank Reich's teams, even since he's come, the first month, they kind of struggle out of the gate. So it's been a tough spot for them. Breaking in a new quarterback as well this week with Matt Ryan. We're expecting it, obviously, to go better than it did with Carson Wentz, but obviously there could be some growing pains there with Matt Ryan and the new offense.
I'm actually not showing a Matt Ryan passing yardage prop on DraftKings, although I do have a pass plus rush yards prop on DraftKings for him.
I can't imagine that's much different with Matt Ryan.
Exactly. Anything you liked here in this game prop-wise, Jonathan Taylor, 96.5. I mean, obvious spot for him. I have to imagine of the fantasy inclined among us, the books are going to catch a lot of money on Dameon Pierce over 47.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, his over had gotten hit pretty good. I believe it's like 49.5 or somewhere in that range. But I didn't bet anything on this one. There was a couple that kind of caught my eye. Matt Ryan, his attempts were at 28.5. It was juiced to the over. It was like minus 130. That kind of kept me off. Got up to 29.5, but it was even money on minus 115 on both sides. I think we have them projected for 32. They did a lot of talking this summer about how they want to be more of a not a pass first offense, but they want to be more balanced. Last year they were trying to hide Carson Wentz at the end of last year. I think they could come out and maybe sling it around a little bit more than we saw at the end of last year. I don't think they want to run Jonathan Taylor 25 times a game here right out of the gates as well. It's one of those they want to preserve Jonathan Taylor. So that was one that kind of caught my eye. Them being 7-point favorites kind of kept me away from that a little bit too. If they get out to a 2-touchdown lead, they could really pack it in and start to run the ball. So if it gets back to 28.5 and it's kind of even money on both sides, I could see myself betting that one. The other one that caught my eye, I didn't bet it. It's been bet up a little bit. It was 18.5 yards for Jonathan Taylor's longest rushing gain. I think he went over it in 14 or 15 of his games last year. So it's been bet up a little bit. It's 19.5, but I'm going to keep my eye on that one as well. Those were two I was looking at, but didn't quite get to the window.
Yeah, one of my favorite, excuse me, Tom, one of my favorite prop bets is one that hit last night. Josh Allen over 37.5 longest pass. So that was one of the two props. I was 2-0 last night, and that was one of the ones that hit. I also had that
was pretty easy.
Yeah, I also had the Devin Singletary under 2.5 catches, and I caught a pass on like the third play of the game, and I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Oh, I was on that one as well. I couldn't believe it was set to 2.5, and he caught the first pass. I'm like, mother trucker, here we go. Yeah. He's getting it.
Philadelphia at Detroit. Eagles laying 4.5 on the highway. 48 in the hook is the total, Tom. Philadelphia at Detroit. This is a spot the Eagles absolutely smoked them last year. Detroit's got some problems on the offensive line. They just put Halapoulivaati Vaitai on IR with a back injury. And Frank Ragnow, the center, Tom, he's got a groin injury now. He wants to play, but as good as this offensive line is, and as theoretically talented as this offensive line is, getting all five of them together is like getting the Beatles back together.
Yeah, this is we've seen the line move a little bit. I grabbed this 4.5 back in the early spring when the lines first came out, and it got bet down. It was sitting 3.5 for most of this week at most places, and I think it probably is the offensive line concerns here. It has been bet back up to 4.5. It's pretty much 4.5 across the board. There's been sorry, I had a pretty severe head cold earlier this week. It was not COVID. Tested myself twice for it, but so if anybody's watching the video here, I'm coughing like a fiend here, trying to mute myself. But we have seen some over money here. It's up to 48.5. I still kind of like the over 48.5. I think there could be some fireworks here. I think the Eagles want to come out and show off their new toy with AJ Brown. That was one of my props that I hit. It was over 65.5 passing yards for him. I mean, when he was healthy last year, that was a pretty easy number for him to hit. He just wasn't always healthy last year, but coming into the first game of the year, you think those knees are going to be as good as they're going to be. So we have him projected for 79 yards. Lions got torched in the secondary last year. Still a pretty big weakness for them as well. So that's one prop that I was looking at in this game.
Well, Tom, I'm also wondering here because I'm looking at AJB and his line, and obviously the hype that he's getting. Devontae Smith sitting down there at 44.5. That one's, I feel like both of those guys could hit that number. AJ Brown over the 64.5, Devontae Smith 44.5. We did hear some reports there from camp that there were times when Devontae Smith looked uncoverable.
Yeah, I would lean towards overs on their props. I was looking Jalen Hurts 47.5 rushing yards. I was considering betting the under on that, but he's the kind of guy he just gets one long run. He could easily get that, but I think they're going to come out really trying to establish the pass. We saw this last year with him. First 5 or 6 games last year, they really came out and were throwing the ball quite a bit, and they kind of made the switch. It was right around this Lions game, I believe, last year, where they really made the switch over to being a run-heavy team. So I think they're going to come out again this year and really be throwing the ball. I would be looking at his over for passing yards and maybe looking at the unders for his rushing props.
Let's go to Jacksonville and the Commanders. Jacksonville catching 2.5 on the road, 44 the total. Sprinkle me on that Jacksonville money line, T-bro. Doug Peterson revenge game against Carson Wentz.
Yeah, it's a bit of a revenge game for Wentz as well. The Jaguars. Yeah, because he blew it pretty bad in the season finale with the Colts. Going down to Jacksonville, I think they were 14.5, 15-point underdogs in that game and ended up losing. So we got a couple revenge spots here going. But the line movement, I think it was correct earlier this week. It was sitting 3.5 all summer. I was looking at the Jaguars myself. I did not hit it, and my chances are gone now. It's painted 2.5 across the board. This is another one that has a pretty low total, if I remember correctly here. So, not expecting a whole lot of offense. 44. It opened up 44.5. So there are some 43.5. So there's been at least a little bit of downward betting here towards the under. But quite honestly, this is a game I'm pretty much kind of staying away from. All things.
Two completely new situations, right? I mean, Washington's got the same coaching staff, but a new quarterback. Jacksonville wasn't a real football team for most of last season, so I don't know how you can. I totally agree with you, Tom.
I did one. I did forget. I did hit Evan Ingram over 24.5 passing. Receiving yards. I just thought that line was set pretty low. I kind of think. With Evan Ingram, might have to be 4 catches, but but I think
he's 4 catches, which takes 10 targets for Evan Ingram.
Unfortunately, but I think he's going to be heavily. He was one of their big acquisitions this year. They gave him $9 million in free agency, so I see him playing a pretty big role right out of the gates. And I just thought the number was too low. I thought it was going to be high 20s. So
keep in mind also
about 5 yards off.
Washington's down starting safety Cam Curl. Cameron Curl's not playing in this game. He's one of the most versatile safeties in the league. So that's obviously a blow over the middle of the field. So in the event, God help Evan Ingram. I mean, he could be wide open and the ball will hit the turf. But, maybe a fresh start helps Evan Ingram there. But, Tom, you're 100% right. This is a watch it and see it game for me. I want to I only jokingly said Jaguars money line. I'm not actually betting it. But betting against
Carson, even the most of the props, I was thinking about doing some unders on Marvin Jones because it kind of seems like they want Zay Jones to be elevated over him, but it's one of those Lawrence has at least played with Marvin Jones last year, so he has a little bit of chemistry. So there's just not a whole lot I'm interested here. I was looking at Gibson maybe over, but I can't.
I'm not betting Antonio Gibson over 58.5 man. With how they feel about him.
I think it's a good spot, but I just can't.
Foley Fatukasi, the defensive lineman for the Jags, is questionable, and he's a great run defender. So that's one that could, if you do like that over there for the Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh at Cincinnati, Tom. It's your Stees. For the first time since I was taking the closet doors off of my dorm room to build a beer pong table, that somebody other than Ben Roethlisberger is the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was my freshman year at Penn State.
Tommy Maddox.
Tommy, and he got hurt in week 1.
Yes, he did.
Did Maddox.
15 games later, Ben was the guy. But
yep. So 6.5. The Steelers are catching 6 in the hook. 44 the total. I can't tell you the last time the Bengals were 6.5 point favorites against the Steelers, but it is a new era.
It is. I'm not wishing injury upon Mitch Trubisky, but I also wouldn't mind if we see a quarterback for a game and then we get the rookie for the last 16 games now, not 15 anymore. But that's an aside there. But 6.5. I'm leaning towards the Steelers side here. I feel like people aren't. I don't know. I'm not talking about the Burrow. He had a ruptured appendix. It not just had his appendix removed; it was ruptured.
Ow!
Exactly. And he lost, significant weight. Didn't really get any game action. He returned to practice the last 2 weeks or so. But I think it could be one of those games where they're looking to try to protect him a little bit. T. Higgins too. Out all summer, just returned to practice this week. Didn't get any action in during training camp. I bet the Burrow under 260.5. I was thinking about the T. Higgins stuff. I just think they're going to be leaning on Joe Mixon, and they did that last year. These two matchups, they did not really attack the Steelers secondary. So this was a game they controlled on the ground in both of those matchups last year too. So I kind of see that same kind of approach coming from the Bengals here. It's not comfortable taking unders on Joe Burrow passing yards, but I'm doing it.
Well, there might be some. I mean, obviously, there's going to be Rams hot takes after last night. Maybe there'll be Bengals hot takes after week 1, Tom. The Super Bowl hangover. The thing about T. Higgins is I recall Alshon Jeffrey. Obviously, T. Higgins is at a different point of his career than Alshon Jeffrey was when Jeffrey was in Philadelphia. But Jeffrey played through a shoulder injury all the way up until the Super Bowl for Philly, had the surgery, really was never the same. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the case for T. Higgins because Jeffrey actually missed a couple of games. And I don't know if the injuries are the same, but just keep in mind that was a situation that we saw from Alshon Jeffrey. And remember, you make the Super Bowl, all your surgeries are delayed by a month plus.
Yep, he didn't get the surgery till like March, I believe. Yeah. So it was a torn labrum. I don't know what Alshon Jeffrey's injury
I think
was.
Jeffrey's was a rotator cuff.
Okay, rotator cuff's a little more. I know you're not, but from baseball, rotator cuff injuries are a son of a gun to come
much
back
more
from.
Severe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking at that. I didn't see the props earlier. I was checking this afternoon. They're just starting to put some up, I guess, because Deontay Johnson's going to play here. But I would love to bet his over if I knew he was completely healthy. Only 48.5 yards.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think that's why it's at 48.5. Now, I will say this. I mean, Edwin considers him more volatile, but he is not on the injury report. He does not have an injury designation. So he will play.
Yeah, but that's just one of those, like, first contact he takes in that game. I could,
and we have seen that from Deontay before.
Exactly. I mean, I'm playing him everywhere in fantasy where I got him. I drafted him 3rd, 4th round in most spots. I'm playing him this week. He's able to go off in any spot, but I would love to hit this 48.5, but I can't. What I'm looking at, I don't have the number. I don't have our projections or anything in front of us, but Chase Claypool at 43.5. I'm in the full fade Chase Claypool, frame of mind here this summer. So I might go back and look at that one to see if there are any better numbers there. I might be betting the under on that one, though.
I feel like the entire Steelers fan base is in Chase Claypool's fade Chase Claypool camp. They want Pickens out there.
Yeah, nobody likes him.
What was it before the celebration, or was that the turning point there?
That was kind of it just all came to a head at that point. It was kind of the entire summer leading up to it. He did the Jordan deal, and he was doing the TikTok and all that crap that Juju was probably teaching him how to do, and he just became a little too individual, and he quickly became one of the top enemies for Steelers fans.
So I will I'll let people know. Those of you who've been watching the daily lineup know that occasionally I have two little co-hosts here. Where's Crimpet? Well, that's Butterscotch right there. Hey, Crimp, where are you, honey? Well, they're about to go nuts because their mother just got home. So, not their physical mother. We're mommy and daddy. But anyway, okay, New Orleans at Atlanta. Tom, you said this is your survivor pick. I tend to think, and I think you might agree, I don't know where all the Saints hype is coming from. Peter King picked them to win or at least be the number 1 seed in the NFC. But I think Atlanta's on the short list to be the worst team in football.
That's kind of why I took them. The Saints.
The Saints are laying 5.5 on the road. 43 is the total. Saints in Atlanta.
And this has been interesting. You're right. There has been some hype for the Saints this offseason. No buzz around the Falcons at all this year. This line has just stayed right at 5.5. I mean, we got a key number at 6. Just sitting there. It hasn't even. I don't even know if it's touched 6. I check these pretty, multiple times a day. I'm checking the lines. I don't think I've seen a 6 all week. So it opened at 5.5, and it is just opened 3.5, which was a bad line. I wish I would have gone.
That's a bad. Sometimes Vegas does just put out a bad line, Tom.
But yeah, it's been sitting 5.5 all summer here, and there is it's minus 115 at the minus 5.5. Maybe some public money comes in on Sunday and actually moves the line. It seems like I don't have the ticket numbers, but I have to imagine it's probably like an 80-20 split, for Saints money compared to Falcons money. But this one, I took Cordero Patterson under his rushing yards. It was 37.5 when it first came out.
Now it's down to 30.5. Oh yeah,
my. It was a bad number. That I jumped on that one. I think he had 21 combined yards in the 2 games against the Saints last year. 13 carries.
Yeah, a lot of talk about Damian Williams, by the way, being potentially the lead back.
It seems like they're gonna kind of use him more in a passing situation. He's gonna get his share of carries, but I would be surprised if he hits double digits in many games this year. He's probably going to be in that like 6 to 8 carry range probably this season. So it's going to be tough to get up over 37.5, 30.5. I would still lean toward the under, but I think it's probably a stay away at this point.
Let's go now, Tom, to New England and Miami. Miami laying 3.5 at home, 46.5 the total here. New offense for Miami, new offense for the Patriots, whatever the hell that's supposed to be. Tom, I have no idea what to do with this game.
Yeah, I was leaning towards the Dolphins last week when it was at 2.5. Those numbers got quickly bet up. We got 3.5s across the board this week. It looks like there's even it looks like there are, we have minus 115 at DraftKings on the 3.5 towards the Patriots. FanDuel has the same thing. So there's starting to be some resistance from the Patriots side. 3 is such a key number. We got a low total in this game. I kind of, it's one of those games. I think it's going to be a 3-point game. I think the Dolphins probably win by 3 points. So I probably would side on the Patriots side here, getting plus 3.5. But I have no confidence. I mean, as you said, Joe, Patriots offense with Joe Judge and Matty Patty calling the plays looked like, it was, the beat reporters were just having a good old time, just beating up on because we follow the reports during training camp. It's always usually glowing. It's, this guy is spectacular. Whoa. And the Patriots camp, it was all doom and gloom, all camp. So there's not great vibes there, but I still trust Bill Belichick against Mike McDaniel at the end of the day here. First game, he's had they've been probably preparing for it all summer. I like the fact that they did go down early to Miami to get acclimated to the heat. They've been down there since Tuesday, so don't feel great about it. But I'm on the Patriots side with the 3.5, getting the hook.
Any props you like here?
I did take Mike Gesicki under 32.5 yards. I think it has been bet down since
30.5 now. Yeah.
Yeah, it did get some downward action on it. just very questionable what his role is going to be. Dorm Smythe might be kind of splitting the snaps with him. Hunter Long still in the mix here. Last year, we all know he was basically a glorified slot receiver. But they were trying to play him in line this training camp and in preseason. We'll see how it goes. It's not a position that he's basically played, even though he's listed as a tight end. It's not the place where he's played. So there was even talk that they were looking to trade him during training camp there. So just a very questionable role right now. And I went back through the game logs because last year he had, the first game of the year, he didn't even have a catch. I remember, one of the patented Mike Gesicki no-shows. Went back and looked. His best game he's ever had against the Patriots, 34 yards in 7 tries, and he's been under 30 or fewer yards in 6 of his 7 career games against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. So I'm not with everything going against him here. I could only look at unders. I mean, you could probably take this number down to 28.5. I would probably, or 26. Yeah, I'm looking at under all day for Mike Gesicki.
Cleveland at Carolina, it's a pick 'em. Baker Mayfield revenge game. Browns revenge game against Baker Mayfield. Pick 'em. 42 is the total. Cleveland at Carolina. The Baker Mayfield v. Jacoby Brissett Bowl.
Yeah, I actually jumped in on this one. The FanDuel, this line has been ping-ponging all summer long. They opened up basically 3.5-point favorites. That was when the Watson stuff was still kind of up in the air. It moved all the way to the Panthers laying 2.5 basically all last week, and then to the beginning of this week, after the Baker Mayfield trade. Back to pick 'em. FanDuel's kind of like the lone outlier here, but they have plus 1.5 on the board here. There's even a minus 1.5 for the Panthers at BetMGM. So there is a lot of volatility with this line. You don't see this very often with the NFL. So, if there's any arbitrage players, I mean, you probably had your chances to, get the 3.5 points earlier in the summer with the Panthers and, get the 2.5 with the Browns.
Try to middle it.
Yeah. So there's a couple, if maybe you did that or not, but I ended up grabbing the Panthers plus 1.5 here. I think the Panthers should be, short favorites. I thought the line was probably right at -1,
I think they have an underrated
1.5.
defense, by the way.
I do too.
They put a lot of effort into building that ever since Matt Rule got there, and I think it's starting to pay some dividends.
And the numbers don't look great from last year, but I think it was a lot of it probably had to do with just how bad the offense was. They were, 3 and outs, Sam Darnold throwing interceptions, just putting the defense in bad spots, and you get in those kind of situations enough, your defense is going to break at some point. So I think this is going to be pretty big under here. The action's been that way. This could be a bit of an ugly game, but I'm siding with the Baker Mayfield side here. I watched enough Jacoby Brissett last year I don't like what I saw, at all. He's going to be in a better situation here. Offensive line, he's a guy that needs some time. He will have a better offensive line play in Cleveland, but I like getting the plus 1.5 with the Panthers now that's out there at FanDuel.
Any props that you took in this game?
No, this was one I kind of stayed away from.
Two brand new offense.
Yeah, I was thinking about Chubb maybe, but I'm not dying to go bet like an over 78.5 rushing yardage props. So stayed away from that one. So yeah, this is a game I'm on the side, and I got the Panthers plus 1.5. We'll see where this line goes from here on out, because it's been an interesting ride with this one.
Arizona's getting 6 at home against Kansas City, 54 the total. How in the living hell are the Cardinals this injured? It is unbelievable. Tom, I can't even keep up. I cannot keep up.
It's ridiculous. I mean, this is the 1 week out of the season where the injury report is supposed to be pretty thin, and it's ugly. I mean, has J.J. Watt been ruled out? I know he was missing practice all week. We got Rondale Moore gets hurt last week. Zach Ertz is going to give it a try.
Watt is questionable. Pugh is questionable. Now, Marcus Golden will play. I've got to go back and completely update our game hub. First and foremost, I am tired of Cliff Kingsbury. Oh, everybody's day-to-day. Shut the fuck up. like seriously. But I mean, this line has moved in a massive way towards Kansas City.
Yeah, this is one I was kind of leaning towards the Cardinals side before this week, even when it was at 3.5. But these injuries, I mean, it might not be a fair fight here. So we got 6s pretty much across the board. I honestly, if we get like another big, JJ Watt's rolled out on Sunday or Zach Ertz is rolled out, I would not be surprised if this gets to 7. So I don't know if there's urgency to go bet it. There is a 5.5 still out there, but I'd be keeping my eye on this one if you're looking to bet the Chiefs this weekend. I would not be surprised if this gets to 6.5, 7.
Yeah, Tom. Really, the only props I see for Arizona are with Connor and Kyler Murray because everybody's questionable in their pet. Now, Rondale Moore is out; he will not play in this game. Zach Ertz is questionable. They haven't put up a Hollywood Brown prop because I think they want to see
waiting on Ertz. Yeah,
waiting on Ertz. I mean, just an absolute disaster right here.
Yeah, I was looking at maybe betting his Kyler's under. I think it was at 260.5 last night when I was looking at it. Of course, my DraftKings is loading slow right now, but let's see here. Yeah, 295.5. That can't be right. That has to be the Mahomes line. Anyway, holy shit, that's listed as Kyler Murray's number. God damn it, I need to log into my account.
I'm showing 256.5.
Okay.
You might be looking at the pass plus rush yards, Tom.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
that's what I'm showing for Murray. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's probably true because I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, that's
295.5. I was thinking about the under at 260.5. Yeah. So I really don't have any action on the props in this one. Mahomes even said it this week. Like, fantasy owners are going to hate us. Yeah. It's probably going to be a different receiver every week.
I don't want to confirm my priors before like an actual game, because that would be stupid, but we had to be industry lowest on Juju, and I mean by far, and it was kind of that reason. Like, why would I take somebody in the 4th round when it's just as likely that somebody in the 10th round is going to lead the team in receiving? I mean, beyond Kelsey. Kelsey's obviously going to lead the team in receiving if he's healthy, but yeah, that's the way I looked at it.
Plus, the guy has bad knees, but Juju, that was the one. One of the guys I have zero of. Maybe he'll make us eat crow on that one. But
hey, look, I understand.
Even look at his number, Joe. It's sitting 47.5. I mean, there's not a whole lot of confidence. You don't see many 4th or 5th round picks coming into week 1 with a 47.5 as their receiving total. Yeah. So,
by the way, bet down to 46.5 where I'm seeing it now. So
okay,
there is under money on Juju. The Giants at the Titans, Tom. Another one of those games. The Titans are laying 5.5, which is always a disgusting number anyway. But 44 is the total. I have no idea what to do with this game. Not a clue. What in terms of the spread, forget about it. I don't know if you have a lean, but I looked at this and I was like,
I did bet. This was one of the bets I made early in the spring, whenever they first released the numbers. I took 6.5. It was at 6.5 at the time. Got that. 6 is kind of a key number here for NFL. Got above that. It was plus 100 as well.
You caught the 6.5 with the Giants.
Yes, I'm taking the 6.5 with the Giants. But you're right. I don't have a great feel for this game. The Giants were, John Hansen does the vibes article there. I mean, they were all over the map. It was like, beginning of camp, they might be a bit of a juggernaut here. Then, Galladay is Galladay. He's, a complete bum. But Kadarius Toney's in and out of practice, and now he's not even on the injury report this week. Sterling Shepard, resurrected from the dead, is apparently going to play.
He's going to play.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And it's the complete opposite vibes in Tennessee. We got Treylon Burks can't even get first-team snaps. Robert Woods, he's been getting positive talk, but he's a 30-year-old coming off an ACL injury.
Oh, thank God. Oh, look at this, Tom.
It's ugly. But I ended up taking a prop I kind of like here. Austin Hooper over 22.5 yards. Just because of the uncertainty at the wide receiver position right now for the Titans. positions kind of thinned out for the Titans as well over the offseason. So, and from all accounts, it sounded like, Hooper and Tannehill had a pretty good connection during camp. So over 22.5 on that one.
I literally just made a bet as you were talking.
What one was that?
Galladay under 33.5.
Oh, God. I might have to jump on that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, Tom, if
that wasn't out earlier, but
if Tony plays and Shepard plays, are we even sure Galladay plays?
I mean, he was a complete bum all offseason.
Yeah, so
I mean, they might play him a little bit here.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously, I think he has to be active in order. Obviously, you have to be active. So I don't know if he'll scratch him. I hope not, because I'm taking the under on the 33.5.
Yeah, the numbers are interesting here. Yeah, Shepard's at 31.5. Kadarius Toney's at 39.5. So yeah, there's some ugly numbers on this game. But yeah, I grabbed the Austin Hooper. I took a bad number on Daniel Jones rushing it. 21.5. It got bet down a little bit. I believe it's at 19.5 now. I still like the prop, obviously, but kicking myself on that one. That was one of the two that moved on me a little bit, but I still like. He was running a lot at the beginning of last year, and then he got that real nasty concussion against the Cowboys when he was trying to get into the end zone. It kind of stopped him from running so much, and of course he gets the neck injury, probably related to the hit that he took against the Cowboys. But we've seen in the past, Brian Daboll would use Josh Allen a little bit in the running game. So I took the over at 21.5. I still like it at 19.5.
All right, Tom. The Chargers are in LA, but they are going to be playing a serious road game here because it is the Chargers hosting. Chargers laying 3.5, 52.5 the total. I don't know if you can bake in a home field advantage in here for the Chargers because they sure shit ain't going to have one because the Raiders still have a base in LA. 3.5, 52.5 the total. Any lead on the spread here, Tom?
I kind of like the 3.5, getting 3.5 with the Raiders. As you said, it's probably going to be more of a home crowd. And there's been a lot of the Raiders have been getting crapped on for much of the summer here, but it's a bit of a top-heavy roster. But this is as healthy as they're going to be. I kind of like it here, 3.5, and Chargers have some injury issues. JC Jackson's out of the lineup. Donald Parham's out. I thought there was another big injury or two, but so they basically get JC Jackson so he can defend Devontae Adams, so he can defend the top receivers for opposing teams. So that's kind of a big missing piece here right out of the gates for the Chargers.
Yeah.
This is one I'm not going to bet, but office pool stuff plus 3.5. Give me that.
Do you have a lean on the Devontae Adams prop knowing JC Jackson's out? 78.5 is that?
I would probably go over, but I'm not interested. I kind of want to. There's been a lot of talk, that they're college teammates and they have a great connection, blah, blah, blah. I kind of want to see it play out for a game or two first before I jump on it. So I would probably lean toward the over here with JC Jackson out, but I kind of want to see it in action first before I get involved on a prop. And if you've been following this show or just following I'm not a guy that gets involved with really high totals. There's a lot more. If anything, I would probably bet unders, more often when I actually get to the window on higher player prop totals, but not one I'm too interested on.
Did you bet anything here, Tom? We're going to move on to the next game.
Yeah, we need to speed it up. I did not hit anything on this game, so we can go to the next one.
Oh, and you're also coughing, and we do.
I'm dying, man.
Green Bay at Minnesota. Packers laying 1 on the road, 46.5 in the total. These two teams play some great games and some really weird games, as you might expect from division rivals.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Minnesota Vikings side on this one. This is a place where there actually is a home field advantage. Probably one of the best home field advantages in football. New offense here. We're gonna see it for the first time. There's definitely some concerns with Green Bay offensively. I know. Did they officially roll out Alan Lazard? He was talking like
he's doubtful.
He was talking like he might not play next week. He was talking about.
Oh yeah, he said you need to pray for him to play this week. So yeah, that does not look good.
Yeah, so he's out. We're down to Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins, and Dobbs. We're Dobbs. We're rooting for that one, but offensive, they have a couple question marks on the offensive line. We'll see if Bakhtiari is able to play.
Elgton Jenkins is hurt too.
Elgton Jenkins as well. So there's just more question marks on the Packers side. I kind of like getting the 1.5. I would take the money line here as well, obviously, if you're going to bet the +1.5. So, yeah, that's the side I'm on in this game.
Any props, Tom?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, this was another one I didn't get involved in. Green Bay side, I'll probably take another look at it. I was interested. There was a Cobb line, 39.5. I was going to take the under, but it was kind of juiced towards the under. It was like -120, -125. So I wasn't too interested in laying a price at 39.5, but I'm going to keep my eye on that one. I might bet the under on that one. Randall Cobb's been a declining player for a while, so.
Tampa Bay at Dallas. Tampa Bay laying 2.5, 50.5 the total. The offensive lines are the story here. Both very banged up. Obviously, the interior of Tampa's offensive line, and then, of course, the left tackle fiasco for the Cowboys. Tampa laying the 2.5, Tom.
This is one way for me, man. I know Tampa's had a chaotic summer here as well.
No way I'm betting
Tom
the
Brady.
Cowboys. Yeah.
No way I'm betting the Cowboys. Tyler Smith is going to slow down Tryon or whoever he's lined up. Shaq Barrett, this could be kind of ugly for the Cowboys here. So I'm not looking to bet the Cowboys right now. I honestly would not be surprised if this line gets a 3. Although it is the Cowboys involved, so they always get their fair share of money here. But I'm seeing a -115 at DraftKings to the -2.5 on the Buccaneers. So this is a line that could get to -3. The props I bet on this one, I did take Dak Prescott over 36.5 passing attempts. Just thinking, if you think back to that game last year, they didn't even try to run the ball in this Buccaneers defensive front. I know Ndamukong Suh's gone, but listening to the pod last night with Greg and John and Adam Kaplan was saying that Akeem Hicks, looks primed for a big season. So they're going to be really good against the run again. So I'm looking over 36.5. I got that at +100. I think it's more like -115 now. And I got Dalton Schultz at the time was over 4.5 at -110 at DraftKings. That one is pretty juiced up at this point. I think it's like -160, -170 at this point. So.
Well, let's go quick here, Tom. And I'm going to tell you something. You want to talk about one-way games? There is no way on God's green earth I am taking the 6.5 with the Seattle Seahawks. They're the only way I can bet this game. And I know they're at home. The only way I can bet this game is Denver. I know Pete wants to beat Russ's ass. He just doesn't have the team to do it.
Yeah, I'm leaning Seattle's side here. This is just office pool play. I think Seattle's. There was an interesting article out about this, about kind of the fractured relationship. I don't think nobody likes them up in Seattle. I mean,
I don't blame Pete Carroll at all. I get the notion that Pete Carroll should be canonized for dealing with Russell Wilson for 10 years. But let's ride. I do. I mean, I don't doubt that Russell Wilson is incredibly competitive. So, oh God, he is freaking obnoxious.
Yeah. So the one bet I did make on this game, I did take Cortland Sutton over 55.5. I think we have him projected for 80. Love that one. I also took the under. I took a shit number though. Worst bet of the freaking week. Took it under 42.5. 43 is a key number. There was a lot of action to the over here. It's up to 44, 44.5, depending on where you look. I still love the under here. I'm not going to bet it again. Just because it's at a better number. But we saw how they played with Geno Smith last year. It was real slow, deliberate. Say what you want about Geno Smith, but he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. He's going to, low A-dot throws. So I think they're going to try to make the. That's why I kind of like the Seahawks side getting 6.5. I don't. It's not that I like the Seahawks, but I think they're going to try to dirty it up as much as they can. And this is a new Denver offense. We'll see if they're firing right away. But Hackett comes from from the Packers. They ran at the slowest pace last year. So I think there's some factors here that point this game towards the under. But
Tom, don't get me wrong. I will be rooting for the Seahawks on Monday night. As a fan of football, I just don't see it happening. But if it does, I will be laughing my ass off. It will be hilarious. T-Bro, it was great. Go rest your voice. Go have a beer. That's how you cure those things, you know?
Yeah, I was, instead of tea and honey, I'm going to grab a Pilsner or something.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sean, for producing this. Go catch the college football tailgate show. Fantasy Points is just around the clock. Catch you, everybody. Tom and I will talk to you Sunday morning, and we'll see you next week on the Point Spread.